Hello students, you will be thinking with me as I think aloud how one should correct the sentences and the different pieces of literary elements dealing with our daily oral language for Wednesday, week 8. The first sentence reads, we read articles from Newsweek, Time, and the Daily Herald for our report. That was difficult to read for me because the word form, I knew as a reader that it should be from because of my comprehension skills, so that was difficult. But Newsweek and Time merged together, and I needed something to pause to let the reader know these were two separate publications. Go ahead and circle number 1. You will see that again. We read, I'm going to capitalize the W, and that is the correct form of read. We read articles from Newsweek. Newsweek is a magazine, so we need to underline it, comma, Time, underline, comma, and the Daily Herald, capitalize and underline, for our report. That's the correct our report, period. That's declarative. Now, why did I make these corrections? Well, of course, that is the beginning of the sentence, so we need to capitalize that. Form needs to be from. Newsweek, Time, and the Daily Herald are titles, and they are titles of big things, magazines. If you were going to read an article in Newsweek and the title of it was Romney and Obama debate, the article would be in quotation marks because it's a smaller portion of the publication, but Newsweek is the title of the entire publication. Therefore, we underline it. So we underline the title of magazines in the same manner one would label our title or underline the title of a book. So we need to underline and capitalize all of the titles, underline them, but also there's more than 2 titles. Therefore, we have a comma in a series situation where you need to insert commas after Newsweek, Time, after Newsweek, and then also after Time. And then, of course, a period at the end. Number 2. It's a very long sentence, so bear with me as I get everything scrolled into the video. While she poured the soup, the awkward girl spilled it all over the papers on her mother's desk. So there's several mistakes in this sentence. First of all, we know that while needs to be capitalized. When I see the word while in the beginning of a sentence, that word is generally an indicator that a dependent clause is coming. While she poured, we need an ED, P-O-U-R-E-D. While she poured the soup, comma, there's a dependent clause. While she poured the soup, the awkward is misspelled, A-W-K-W-A-R-D. The awkward girl, awkward indicating what kind of girl, so it's an adjective. The awkward girl spilled, S-P-I-L-L-E-D, it all over the papers on her, not he, on her mother's, indicates ownership, which we're working on this week with possessive nouns. So we need an apostrophe after the R before the S. So we would have apostrophe S on her mother's desk, period. And that also is declarative. So let's look at that again and make sure Mrs. Lee has corrected everything in that sentence. While she poured the soup, the awkward girl spilled it all over the papers on her mother's desk. I do believe we could keep that sentence as it is written, even though we could have some word economy here and say, while she poured the soup, the awkward girl spilled it on the papers on her mother's desk. And that would give us some word economy. However, grammatically, it is fine. Number 3, which would come first in alphabetical order. We know when we're looking at words in a resource, such as a dictionary, we need to start with the first 3 letters, and generally when we look on the page, page with the guide words representing the first 3 letters, we can generally find the word to spell it correctly. We have feminine, fellowship, femoral, and feline. So, F-E, F-E-M, oh, we have an F-E-L and we have an F-E-L. So we can eliminate feminine and femoral. F-E-L-L or F-E-L-I. And so feline will be the first word in alphabetical order. Number 4, which word is spelled correctly? Neither, wow. Worries, no. Gracious, no. Siege, okay? Let's look at, I can go ahead and eliminate neither because it should be ER. Worries, we know we dropped that Y and add IES. Gracious, I don't think we need the T there. So let me go over to the side. Actually, I'll write it above it as one of my skills. If I'm writing gracious, yes. Gracious, I do not need a T. So siege is what I'm determining as correct. I'm going to go to my computer to check myself, because if I narrow it down to 2 and I don't know for sure, even though when I wrote gracious, I wrote it correctly without the T. And now when I go back to review, siege is the correct spelling, S-I-E-G-E. I'm supposed to, on number 5, if we can see that, let me go out just a bit. Number 5, we need to circle the adjectives in this sentence. Now remember, adjectives answer 3 questions. Most of the time, adjectives answer the questions, what kind or how many. But if you're talking about demonstrative adjectives, like the or this and that will tell you which one, as well as the articles a and an. So adjectives do actually ask 3 questions. What kind, how many, and which one? So let's look and see, because there can be multiple adjectives. The fierce winds surged across the carefully planted wheat fields. For me, the easiest thing to do is to locate all the nouns, then determine if we have a describing word paired with the noun. When I go through this sentence, the fierce winds, surged is the action, across is a preposition, across the carefully planted is a verb, wheat, fields, okay, fields, even though wheat is a noun, in this case it's an adjective, it's telling us what kind of field. And winds, do we have anything describing winds? What kind or how many? Fierce tells us what kind, as well as wheat tells us what kind of fields. On this, you need to circle number 1. Thank you and have a good evening.